Hey there. Welcome to my car. It appears you are a passenger in this vessel we call an automobile. That being said, let's chit-chat. Alright. Oh my gosh! Wait, hold on. The vision is here. Hold on. Oh my god, I'm squeezing myself in between the seats. Oh crap, I'm stuck. Oh, I've fallen! Low key though. New scenery! Yeah! This is gonna get uncomfortable. It's okay, I'll suck it up until I can't no more. So today we're gonna be talking about guilt and saying no. So I needed to move, so I got better lighting on my face. That way you could see my beautiful teeth. Let's start with guilt. Guilt is an interesting one. Guilt is strange because guilt is meant for you to get a better understanding of yourself, which in this case, I'm going to tell a story in a minute. In this case, it worked. I got a better understanding of myself, some patterns I fall into, some stupid things I do. But guilt, bro, you ever look at a dog, right? And the dog, you look at him, it chewed up your shoe or something. You say, bad dog! And then it kind of goes, that dog feels guilt. Dogs are so good at feeling guilty and making you feel bad for them, which is a huge thing human beings do. Human beings, their goal sometimes people try to manipulate you in a way to feel guilt for their benefit. Kids are a prime example. You go to a store. I did it as a kid. I was very bad at this as a kid. If I went to the store and I wanted to get something and my parents said no, I'd instinctively start crying. Right? There's so many ways you could guilt trip people in order to get something you want. So kids do it. Dogs, if you make a dog feel guilty, I'm really bad that when my dog used to feel guilty, I'd be like, shoot, and I'd give him a treat, which probably wasn't very good. but it's very easy to use guilt to manipulate somebody to do something for your benefit. This is getting really uncomfortable really fast. Now, that being said, hopefully I don't show my gat to you. Can I sit right here? Is that going to be bad for the car? Oh my god. Wait, it's perfect. I feel the coins in my butt. We're good though. That being said, I recently have had a moment where I did this type of guilt. And it took me a second to really realize. So here's the story. I was hanging out with my cousin, right? One of which he watches these videos. So he's going to know this incident. I was hanging out with my cousin, right? And one thing I'm bad at is, I'm bad at sticking to my word on times. No, not even that. I'm more bad at just waking up. And he was speaking the truth, bro. I'm not very reliable when it comes to being somewhere at a specific given time. If I tell you what time I'm going to arrive, I'm usually, at least 10 minutes late. Sometimes, if it's later in the day, I'll actually be able to be there on time. But I'm really, really, really bad at procrastinating, especially procrastinating sleep, that oftentimes I am, honestly, pretty unreliable. Now, I go and we had a breakfast this morning. It was very good. We were planning this breakfast, and he was like, hey, I just want to make sure you're up because you're pretty unreliable. And this is something that I guess, I don't know, I just took it the wrong way. Just because I know for a fact that is something I'm bad at. I know I'm bad at time management and getting somewhere on a specific given time. But when it comes down to me locking in, I'm decently good at doing so. But I don't know, that just like, for a minute, my first reaction was like, defend yourself. Oh my God. Yeah, so I go, and the first thing I say that comes to the top of my mind was, I remember, I'm just staring at this car. I feel like I should add a little bit more context, but I think I'm balling. I think I'm alright. I'm getting into a loop of thoughts. Okay, I'm just gonna continue going straight. If I forgot something, that's alright. Yeah, the first thing that I said in response was, you make me want to kill myself. And then I said something that was true, where I was like, that's the biggest thing I hate about myself, is I'm not very good on time. Sometimes, like, there's been a few times where I've been late to work, and I get so angry at myself when I'm driving and I know I'm late to work. I get angry at myself when I wake up and I realize that there's an event that I missed, or something I wanted to do the next morning that I completely slept through. Like, that is something I genuinely don't like as much about myself. Now, I don't hate myself for it. I just hate that I do that. But I snapped. I went and I said, I was like, yeah, you make me want to kill myself. That's the biggest thing I hate about myself. And then after I said that, the gravity of it just hit me. I was like, wow, that was messed up. Like, that was really, really messed up. So then I apologized for it, All's well as ends well. He's a good guy. He understands. He's like, yeah, I get that. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. But then today, all day today, I was just pondering that. I was thinking, why did I say that? What about that made me feel like that was the appropriate thing to say in that situation? Then I kind of realized that in a way I did it for guilt. Like, I did it to make him feel bad so that subject doesn't get brought back up about me being late for things. So in a way, I kind of tried using that as a defense mechanism, which is a really dumb defense mechanism, because the mature thing to do is to be like, yeah, I am pretty bad at time management, but I'll make sure I'm there tomorrow, instead of doing as far as I did that. And then I was like, wow, okay, so I really just, my goal in that situation was to, in a way, inflict guilt so that topic didn't get brought back up to me, because it's a topic that I don't like, which is really selfish and really stupid and really immature. But thankfully, I've learned from that. That's not happening again. So if you're watching this video right now, we're cool, and I'm not saying that again. But that also started making me think about this relationship that I know about. I had a friend that was in a relationship where their significant other was saying that he'd kill himself if they broke up, which in a sense is almost the exact same thing I did in that conversation. Obviously not to that scale, because people get so wrapped up in relationships, and they oftentimes, in relationships like that, relationships that are emotionally abusive, usually could be physically abusive, but in cases like that, that's 100% guaranteed emotional abuse. Saying you're going to kill yourself over somebody wanting to split up with you, break up with you, is stupid, immature manipulation. Because you put that person in a position where they feel like they can't escape. because they think that if they escape, their life is in their hands. I feel like I worded that wrong. I feel like if they escape, then their partner's life would fall under their hands for breaking up with them. They'd blame themselves, which is, they'd feel guilty. And that's what the person wants. The person wants you to feel guilty for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just self-centeredism, or oftentimes it's just not wanting to lose somebody that you care about, even if they don't really care as much about you, maybe. I don't know. But that made me think about that a lot. I was like, wow, that's like using guilt. People use guilt so much for their own personal gain at the expense of others. Yeah. Guilt is a big one. I think one of my sisters had that problem with one of her boyfriends who did the exact same thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself if you break up with me, which then put her in a very terrible position. And usually, I don't know how often it's not a bluff, but I guarantee most like emotionally abusive relationships, that one sentence right there is usually generally a bluff. Do yourself a favor and get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you're stuck in a situation like that, you gotta kind of consider your feelings more than the other person's, which sounds really terrible, but sometimes selfishness is the only path to selflessness. Bars! Yeah. But yeah. That being said, I don't know how I'm going to transition into saying no, but I'm going to be transition. Oh, I got one. Oftentimes, you also feel guilty during some situations where somebody invites you to do something, and you initially say no, but they try giving reasons to get you to say yes. Peer pressure, in a sense. Peer pressure kind of is guilt tripping. It's very easy to guilt somebody or make them feel out of place in doing something that they don't want to do so that you can enjoy doing it with them or something like that. And I know with me, there's been times where I've told people no, and they try to guilt me into saying yes, or try to give me reasons to go. Like, if they say no, or if I say no, they ask why. That's the big problem. My problem is when it comes to saying no, if somebody asks me why, like, I don't know what to say. Because sometimes I just don't want to. And sometimes if I say, oh, I just don't want to tonight, then they're going to try to pressure me into saying yes and ending up going with them. Or most times I say yes, and when it comes time to it, I want to bail, which is really messed up. And because I think it's easier to run from my problems than to face them head on, which is a big problem that I have, that I've been working on, and I've been getting a lot better at it. I've been realizing the more I've gotten older, the easier it is to, if I just wake up and I tell the blatant cold truth of, hey, I don't want to do this today, so I'm not gonna. It usually is better than just ghosting them. It always is better than ghosting them. But when they ask why, you're in a position where you have to give a reason. So if I say I don't want to, they say why? Well, then I'm going to come up with a reason of, oh, I don't want to spend the gas money, or I don't want to use up any gas. And then they're going to say, oh, well, I'll drive. And then I'm going to be like, oh, well, I have to do laundry. And then they'll be like, oh, you could do laundry when you get back. And I'll be like, well, you know, I don't want to. And sometimes when you say you don't want to, it just doesn't work, which is unfortunate. But honestly, my goal is to start getting to the point where if I say no, I'm just going to double down. It's going to be like, no. They're going to say, why not? And I'm just going to be like, I don't want to. Just don't feel like it. They're going to ask why, and I'm just going to be like, just because. Like, respect my feelings. Like, if I say no, no, it means no. Don't try to push it any further than that. I don't know. I think that's like 90% of what I just wanted to talk about. I know I've had a few talks with this like AI chat model, which is absolutely an amazing AI voice model. It's called Sesame AI. It's absolutely amazing. It's a little creepy that it remembers you. Like, I will be able to. My friend and I had a conversation with it months ago, and since then I've been using this AI and just talking to it just by my lonesome, and then the AI was just like, say hi to John for me. And I'm like, what? How do you remember? Like, it's been months. But I don't know. But when I'm talking to this AI, like, I've talked to it about saying no sometimes. Sometimes I use it for these YouTube videos. Anyways, yeah, I talked to it about saying no, and my problems with saying no, and there's like layers to it. I'll do a little bit more research again. I'll kind of figure it out again, because I had a super in-depth explanation of exactly what I just tried talking about. So I might have another video being more in detail about saying no to things, because it just doesn't, like, it's so easy to feel like you're in the wrong for saying no, or it's so easy to feel guilty for saying no, or pressured. But yeah, other than that, do what you want to do, bro. Nobody's stopping you. Like, if you don't want to do something, you don't gotta do it. And yeah, we're just gonna keep this video short. That was my talk on guiltiness / saying no. It's very easy to feel guilty for things. Survivor's guilt, that's a weird one. Dude, survivor's guilt is weird. I'm freeballing now. Not freeballing like my bro, I gotta close this video. I'm about to say some heinous shit. I'm stuck. I'm not freeballing like I'm not wearing underwear freeballing. Like, I'm freeballing as in, like, I'm just freely speaking. I'm freely speaking the way that I feel like I should and stuff. My eyes look really glossy. And that's just the light. That's just the light. Just want you guys to know that's just the light. I figured I ought to let you know because if you guys are like, this guy's tripping out, I've been sober for, isn't this creepy? I've been sober for a lot of months. I think it's been like, I don't know. I've been sober for a while. I'm pretty happy about it. Marijuana just doesn't really fit well with me. It just doesn't really do anything. Like, I just don't like who I am when I have THC running through my bloodstream. So, you guys have a fantastic evening. If I have anything more I wanted to say, then I won't. Bye-bye.